Hello, everybody. This is Profix headquarters. Welcome to our first webinar. Hooray! So I would like to thank to my team, our team of Profix, especially Kasia and Krzysztof, who were behind the scenes, helping us to prepare this webinar for you. So thank you, Kasia. Thank you, Krzysztof. Kasia will be today a moderator, so if you have any questions during the webinar, just please ask, and during the Q&A sessions, we will answer to your questions. So thank you, Kasia. Thank you. So yeah, we will start just in a seconds, but before that, I would like to show you today's agenda. So we have plenty of things to talk about today, and the first part will be held by Grzegorz, and he will talk about GreenLine software and the changes in the last months and future changes. As you can see, we have only one microphone, so you have to buy more products, so we'll have two microphones. So please do it. Yeah, so we'll have to switch the microphones. After Grzegorz talk, we will have Q&A session. So during that time, as I already mentioned, just you can during the Grzegorz talk, you can just put a question in a chat, and later on we will try to answer to that. So I think that's all. So as I already mentioned, first part will be held by Grzegorz, and the second part will be held by me. I will talk about hardener changes. So thank you, and yeah, enjoy. Good luck, Grzegorz.
So let's start to talk about my part. Actually, I would like to talk with you about softwares, Spectro, and also future about Spectro and softwares. And first of all, we have a new version of software. Actually, it was done a few weeks ago, as you probably know. So we sent all of you a link to our software. And of course, we have software number 2 and software number 3. Number 2, it is software without Spectro, and number 3, it is with Spectro. And in this time, we introduced 2 of them, but it is a plan for the next time. It is a plan to discontinue software number 2, because in my opinion, software number 3 with Spectro, it is enough for everybody, so that's why we will discontinue number 2. And let's focus of changes which we introduced in the current version of software. So we added some new languages like Bulgarian and Hungarian, and right now we have plenty of languages, as far as I remember, something around 15, so quite a lot. And we added protection of the software against incorrection download in update. Actually, it can happen if there is a problem with internet during the process of downloading update, and if the internet is going down, sometimes can happen that software cannot see properly the database, and then software cannot work properly, and that's why we implemented such a mechanism to avoid this problem in the newest version of software. And we added also button mixing products to the main page, just to be more friendly. So the button is right now on the main page, and you can go immediately to the mixing products area. Of course, you can also see this option like in the past in menu. The next one, we added the ability to display formula with 2 place after dot. Actually, this option already worked in the past, but it was possible to use this option only in small amount, from 0 to 100 milliliter. Right now we can use in every quantity, so I believe it is more convenient for everybody. Yeah, this is the view of this formula with 2 place after dot. We add the ability to display the formula from the smallest to largest ingredient. We can switch this option in menu, and actually in the past it was only possible to see formula from the biggest to the smallest, and right now we also can change from smallest to the biggest. It depends what you like. LAB report. LAB report, I will explain what it is. It is a new thing. We can go to the software, to the Spectro application, and this LAB report is helping us to see the difference between 2 colors, which can be very close. For example, the original color and the correction color, so we can measure the 2 of them, and we can see report LAB as a PDF with the difference with delta E. So maybe my colleague Kuba will show you how it works. So we have 2 similar colors. Let's say one can be original and second can be the color after correction, and we have to go to the Spectra application, go to report and generate report, and now we have to choose metallic or solid. In this case it is metallic, and right now we are going to measure target. Let's say the original color of the car. We can measure also a car. In this case we are measuring those 2 panels, but we can measure a car. So we are doing 3 readings, as always, can be 5 also. So now we measured the target, and now we are going to measure a trial, let's say the second color which we want to check. 3 readings also. So this process is really very easy, just 2 buttons, and in the end we are going to push button generate report, and we see PDF form with target and trial, and 3 different angles, 15, 45, 110, the difference between them, and in the end we see the delta E. In this case it is 1.17, so there is a real difference between those 2 colors, and you can print this report and you can show customers or whatever. So this is a report LAB. I think it is very useful function, very nice and quite interesting. So let's talk about next. This is this generate report, and we added also possibility to export the stock and price list to the Excel. Actually, in the past it was possible only to export this file as a CSV, and customer asked us to do also possible Excel. So we added also export via Excel. The next one is Simplex. Simplex, as you know, it is our new industrial line. So we added Simplex to the software, and we can go to edit, paint system, and we can switch Simplex. We can choose between acrylic or Simplex. They cannot work parallel, so you have to choose one of them. And we can choose binders. There are plenty of binders which you would like to use, and if you don't want to use, you can hide them. And in the formula window there is a new area. Then you can choose the binders, and also you can switch the level of pigmentation from 10 to 35%. And in the end, let's talk about waterborne system, Aqua 2G. As probably you know, we added half a year ago. We exchanged the technology of production of toners of waterborne, and that's why it was necessary to create a new calibrated panels. What calibrated panels is? Calibrated panels, they are necessary for corrections, for spectral corrections, and because of calibrated panels, Spectro knows the behavior of each toners, what the behavior is of each toners, and the influence of corrections, and that's why we refreshed those calibrated panels, and we added them to the database. And right now, Spectro is working in case of corrections, is working better and is giving us closer result if you are talking about correction of waterborne. And that's all if you are talking about changes in software. And let's talk now about changes in Spectro application. So first of all, we added additional filter as coarseness. Coarseness, it means the level of size of silvers. So it is very convenient because we can make a decision about which coarseness we want to see as candidates before searching the candidates. So first of all, we have to switch the system, and then we can add manufacturer, and then we have to choose it is metallic or solid, and if it is metallic, then we are able to choose coarseness from 1 to 6, and this is avoiding the problem to showing us the candidates which are not necessary. For example, if you are looking for candidates with coarseness number 3, then we will not see candidates with coarseness number 1 or number 5. And it works like this, that if you want to see candidates number 2, all the time we see one candidate also lower and one candidate higher. So in case of candidates number 2, we can see also number 1 and number 3. This is really important and helpful option in case of plenty similar colors which we have in our database, like silvers or like gray or dark gray. There are plenty of them in our database, and then we are able to see proper color what we need to see as a candidate. And second, multi-correction. Probably all of you knows this option. Is maybe not very fresh from last month, but we added this option a few months ago. And this option is, because of this option, we can see all candidates which are correcting one time. It is so efficient because like in the past, we corrected one candidate, and right now in the same time, exactly the same time, we can see all of them which are corrected. And this is big advantage because sometimes the candidates from the button, which we would never consider that it is good or will be good, right now these candidates from the button after multi-correction can go as a first one. So it is really very helpful, and all the time we are able to choose in the menu settings which we want to see, single correction or multi-correction. So very helpful option. And the next one is parallel correction of undercoat and topcoat. It is also belongs from few months ago, but let's say it's quite new. So let's talk about three-stage formulas like white pearl. So we have a topcoat as a pearl which is quite transparent, and undercoat which is, let's say, white or very light gray color. And in the past, we were able just correct topcoat, which was not enough because sometimes undercoat is more important in case of white pearl than topcoat. So right now, we are able to correct topcoat and undercoat. And if you see icon free stage, and if you see also topcoat with and undercoat with arrow, so we can see, you can switch between topcoat and undercoat, and you can see two formulas corrected: topcoat corrected and undercoat corrected. And of course, I want to admit that all those changes are visible already in cloud software and in Cloud Spectro from some time, probably a few weeks for sure. So if some of you are using a cloud, of course, those changes are also available. And let's talk about future of formulas and softwares. And the same as we added calibrated panels for waterborne, we have a plan to also introduce calibrated panels for solvent, because since few years we used calibrated panels, so I decided it is good time to refresh also calibrated panels for water for solvents. So that's why I expect next few months that GreenLine will be even better if you are talking about correction in the end. So for sure it will be like this. So let's talk about new spectra right now, because we started to implement new spectra. This will be very long process, so for sure we will not expect to see this spectra this year or to the customers, but probably it will be next year. And I can tell you a few words about this spectra. So first of all, it will be compact, the same weight like the existing one, Adam 5. As far as I remember, it is 660 grams, so it is not a lot. It will be very useful, especially in vertical position. And second, this spectra will have a camera, which is not so obvious is such a small spectra for end users. And third, this spectra will have also coarseness recognition. So this will be higher level of using spectra, because right now we have to have some knowledge about coarseness, and the next generation of spectra will be recognize this level of spectra by himself. So it will be another level of working and more efficient. And we need also new SDK. SDK, it is a software which Spectra is working, and Spectra is communicate between Spectra and software. So the new SDK we have to implement also, and then it will be ready to connect new Spectra. But for sure, as I said, probably it will be next year. So it is rather future, not now. And we have a plan to introduce the new lab software, which will be dedicated only to our color lab, but we are waiting for this software from X-Rite. So X-Rite will provide us this software, and this software, it will be a combo with a very special high-level spectra dedicated to color lab. And this software will help us to create formulas from the scratch, completely from the scratch. And this is really important nowadays, because we are talking about very difficult and strange colors to make a formula. And if we will have such a software, I believe it will be game changer, and we will be able to provide even better formulas than we are able to produce right now in our color lab. But we are waiting for this lab software. I hope that this will be this year. We have few months to wait, and then we will start to play with different rule, another level of creating formulas. And yeah, so I believe this is all from my side. Thank you for attention. And now it is Q&A session. If you have any question, feel free to ask, and I will try to answer for all your questions. The question is if this webinar is recorded. Yes, of course. We will send, after this webinar, we will send to all customers which are watching right now, we will send a link. The new spectra, yes. The question is if the new spectra has 6 angles. Yes, it can be 6 angles, but not. I believe it will be few options. We will not make decision yet. It will be 3 angles, 5 angles, at 6 angles, but of course everything depends of the price in the end. So this is not the moment yet to make a decision which angle we will provide to the customer. But technically, yeah, it is possible. But let's talk about that later. No. Do you have any questions? We are waiting for your questions because right now we just saw 2 questions. So if you have more questions, please ask us. This is the moment. for you and for me. I'm waiting for for the questions. Okay, so if there is no more questions, one more time, thank you very much for your attention, and thank you that you watched my part. We have another one. Yes, we have another question, so please wait. Spectro. The question is about very tricky color, Mazda 46V, if the Spectro is able to measure the color. And it depends of the system. If we are talking about GreenLine, of course, we have a candidates and you can measure the color and you can find the candidates and even you can correct this color, but this is a bit tricky issue because on such a color we have a top coat as a effect and also middle coat as an undercoat is effect. So Spectro right now is not able to correct undercoat as a effect. That's why Spectro will correct only top coat. It is, let's say, half a solution, but we have quite good color in GreenLine if we are talking Mazda 46V. In waterborne is more difficult because for waterborne we have to provide a new red, very bright, transparent color, and this process is under construction still. The R&D lab is creating this new toner, and this will be probably next few months, and then we will be able to provide much better formula for waterborne than right now we have it. And yes, we have wait a bit for waterborne. And of course, Spectro will be able to measure also this color. Okay, the next question is if you will be able to use parallel CP88 and Simplex in one software. As you know, right now we have to switch between two of them, so you can use CP8 or you can use Simplex. When we started to create this platform a few years ago, we didn't consider more systems than we have right now. So actually 4 can exist together, parallel, and Simplex is 5th. So that's why technically right now it is not possible, but if we will have time and if we could consider this in the future, I believe technically can be possible, but it is plenty of things to do and time. We need to spend the time to rebuild our frame of our software. So I would say yes, it's possible, but right now we have to live with this what we have. Any questions? Any other questions? I am ready to answer. No questions. So one more time, thank you for your attention and have a good day. And right now I'm going to switch to Kuba. My colleague will explain you everything about changes in ancillaries.
Okay, once again, thank you, Grzegorz. That was really informative. And I would like to highlight one thing about Grzegorz's part. Many things that were changed are because of you, so thank you for your feedback and continuous support, because without you we couldn't do so many things in the software. And of course, if you have any requests, we can talk about internally in our team just to do as much as we can for you. Okay, so I will begin with my part, and it's all about hardener changes. All right, So the current state is that we have plenty of hardeners in our system. It's basically the biggest number of hardeners is among acrylic primers. I mean, the biggest differences. Why is that? During the last years, we are developing different primers, and we were just selecting different hardeners for them. So after all these years, we have, like, we think, too many hardeners when it comes to especially acrylic primers. So basically, the current state is that for CP216, we have CP375 and CP388. For CP297, we have CP399, CP363, CP385, CP365, and two clear coats, CP250 and 400. So you can see, like, many products associated with that one hardener. And for the CP278, we have one product which is DTM, and we are thinking about that to make some changes, and those we are quite limited when it comes to, for example, improving some of the hardeners, because it's really hard to just achieve some of the parameters for some certain product. So what we decided is to have one basically family of hardeners of CP285. So this hardener you can see already in, for example, acrylic MS clear coat, which is 1500. We have this hardener for really long time, and we are really happy with the quality of that hardener. And what's very important is that this hardener comes with two different variations, which is CP282, which is fast hardener, and CP286, which is slow hardener, something that we cannot see in opposing hardeners like 216, 278, and 297. So basically, pros and cons when it comes to that change. So the changes that we will implement 285 as a main standard hardener for the already mentioned products. So we will eliminate the need for separate formulations. That's a big thing. We will reduce complexity, not only for us, but also for the customers. It's much easier to just use for a certain group of products one hardener, and plus, of course, these two variations when it comes to temperature. We can ensure even more the consistency in the final product. There's a less chance for variability in the hardening process. It is sometimes we were just checking some claims. It is really hard to just not hard, but it's pretty complicated to just check every option, you know, like with 278, 297, 216. There's many possibilities, and we are not always sure which hardener was used. So it's gonna be really in favor. And using one hardener can potentially reduce costs associated with purchasing, storing, and handling multiple hardeners. So as you can, as already mentioned, so we had those three hardeners, and they are associated with many products. And by that change, we can basically connect one hardener with many products, and it's going to be much easier for you, for your customers, to just check the stocks, making some promotions. It's a really big thing. When it comes to cons, I think this will heavily rely on how you perceive it. So lack of optimization or limited options. As I already said, these two cons are actually something that you can exclude just by using, for example, 282 or 286 or we can just work on another versions when it comes to weather compatibility. So it's much easier for us and for you. So if a single hardener is used to achieve a wide range of properties, there may be performance trade-offs. So there's this one thing, but still for some of the products like 388, you still had just one hardener, and I think it's much better option to have those, like, let's say, family of 285. Okay, so these are the new combinations. So you can see that all the already mentioned products, they moved under 285 family, let's say. There are already existing combinations like CP 1500, CM10, and of course acrylic mixing system. In total, it gives us 6 acrylic primers, 1 DTM, 3 clear coats, 1 matte clear coat, and 1 mixing system. And that's a lot, I know, but it's much easier for you to handle that, for us to just to focus on the quality. And really, we were testing that for last months, and the results are really good. And I'm really happy that with 282 and 286 you can adapt to the weather. So there are also on the slide the temperature range, and so you don't have to rely heavily on thinners as you did before. That's a really big thing. So how it affects the products overall? So these are minor changes, but for sure we have a bit smoother surface. So it's just more flat, especially when you compare it to 216, which has catalyzer inside. So we have smoother surface. There are no change in ratios. That's also a very big point that I would like to highlight. So we still keep the ratios the same. So if 375 is 4:1 with 216, we still keep the same ratios with 285. Easier and more efficient sanding. It's also a minor change, but it's a bit better. So it will be easier to prepare acrylic primer. Possibility to adapt to weather, I already talked about that. And that's also very important that none of the parameters tested came out worse, with the one exception, which is CP375. So basically during the tests we find out that with the 375 the drying time was a bit longer. So from 1 hour, basically we had 1 hour and a half with the usage of CP285. And so right now we are modifying basically the 375. And why is that? Because in CP216 we had a catalyzer inside, so it was affecting the overall drying time. And the same catalyzer exists already in CP375, so we will add a bit more of that catalyzer inside this acrylic parameter, so we can still achieve 1 hour of drying time in 20 degrees and 5 minutes in 60 degrees. That's right now, that's the biggest goal when it comes to these changes. And the question when, so basically we will, some of you probably you're already using CP285 in the different combinations, but the biggest the switch from those hardeners, so we will no longer have them, will start at the beginning of the this year, of the beginning of this second half of this year. So basically June, July, we are aiming for this date. And that's basically it. So it was a bit shorter, let's say. But of course, if you have any questions, yeah, just go ahead. So yes, so when it comes to TDS files, of course, we will change them prior to this overall change. So you will be ready to just to show to your customers that some things were changed. Yeah, so of course. Any more? There's one more thing that I would like to also highlight, that is that we'll have also the capacities that were not present when it comes to CP285. We'll have them, like for example, 216 or 297 was present in 015 mil capacity, and it was not present in CP285, so we will have that also. Okay, so I guess my part wasn't so interesting as Grzegorz, okay? All right. So basically, thank you for your attention. It was really a pleasure to conduct this webinar, and it was first webinar for us, and I think that that's not the last. Thank you. I would like to thank you to Profix team. So Krzysztof, Kasia, and Grzegorz, thank you so much. It was really nice to work on this webinar with you. Of course, we'll, as already Grzegorz said, we'll send you a link with a recorded video. And if you have any more questions in the following days regarding this, the topics that we were discussing, just go ahead. You can, of course, send an email and ask anything. Oh, there's one more question, I think. Yeah. Oh, so if you can mix 2014 and 2016 2 to 1, no. So the recommendation is to still do it 4 to 1. The only change that was tested in a recent months was using thinner with 2014, which gives a better results. So that's why in the newest TDS we will have a thinner added to this clear coat. Oh, so basically you can have just problems with the hardening. So basically there's certain amount of linkages between chemical compounds. So if you use much more hardener, like 2 to 1 is more than 4 to 1 hardener, use more hardener. So basically it will be the surface will be softer. So I would like to avoid that. Okay, so that's it. Thank you once again, and see you next time, guys.